Today, we're going to talk about a story that's happening literally all around you. And yeah, even inside of you, right this very second. It's the story of the Great Exchange, this amazing partnership that quietly powers just about all life on Earth. So, have you ever really thought about it? What could you possibly have in common with a massive redwood tree? I mean, you seem worlds apart, right? But believe it or not, you both depend on the exact same constant invisible cycle. And the answer that connects you? Well, it's not just some small similarity, it's the very energy that keeps you both alive.
Yeah, it really is all about this constant give and take. You can almost picture it like the planet itself is breathing, taking this one giant, slow breath in and then a breath out. One process creates the fuel and the very air we need, while the other unlocks that fuel to power, well, everything. That's the great exchange in a nutshell. And the engine behind it all? Our sun.
So let's start with part one of this exchange, capturing all that sunshine. I mean, how does life on Earth even begin to grab energy from a star that's 93 million miles away? Well, the answer is this absolutely brilliant process called photosynthesis. It's basically the engine that powers pretty much every single food chain on the planet. So what is photosynthesis, really? At its core, plants are like nature's little solar panels. They take in these super simple ingredients, carbon dioxide and water, and with a little kick from the sun, they whip up two absolutely critical things. Glucose, which is a sugar that stores that solar energy, and of course, the oxygen we all need to breathe. Okay, so it's not just one magic step. Photosynthesis actually happens in two main stages. First up, you've got what are called the light-dependent reactions. This is where sunlight literally zaps water molecules and splits them apart, and boom, that's where our oxygen comes from. It also charges up these tiny little energy-carrying molecules, kind of like microscopic batteries. Then, in step two, known as the Calvin cycle, the plant uses the juice from those batteries to grab carbon dioxide out of the air and build it into a nice, stable, energy-packed sugar, and that sugar is glucose. All right, so the plants have done their job. They've captured the sunshine, they've stored it as sugar. Awesome. But how does that energy actually get used? By anything? Well, that brings us to the other side of the coin, the second half of this great exchange, cellular respiration. This, right here, is the process all cells use to unlock that stored energy. And I really mean all cells. We're talking plants, animals, you, me, fungi, everything. We all break down that glucose using oxygen to get at the energy inside. That energy gets captured in a special molecule called ATP, which is basically the cell's main energy currency. Think of ATP as the universal rechargeable battery that powers literally everything your cells do. And yep, that means plants respire too. This is a super common misconception, by the way. People think plants just do photosynthesis, but nope. They are constantly unlocking the very energy they just created. They're making sugar during the day, sure, but they're using it, respiring 24/7, day and night, just like we are. And just like photosynthesis, respiration has a few key steps. It kicks off by splitting that glucose molecule in half. Then the real action happens inside the cell's power plants, the famous mitochondria. In there, those pieces are broken down even more, and that's where the CO2 we exhale comes from. And for the grand finale, oxygen steps in and plays this absolutely critical role, helping to unlock a ton of that usable ATP energy. The only thing left over? A little bit of water. Okay, let's just pause for a second. We have one process, photosynthesis, that makes sugar and oxygen. And we have another, respiration, that uses sugar and oxygen. So, are you starting to see it? This is where the whole thing clicks together into this perfect, beautiful partnership. So let's look at the chemical recipe for photosynthesis. Don't worry, it's pretty straightforward. On the left, you have your ingredients, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 of water, plus a big dose of light energy. And on the right, you get your finished products, 1 big molecule of glucose, that's the sugar, and 6 molecules of oxygen. Okay, now look at the recipe for respiration. We start with the products from before, that 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. The cell breaks them down to get a bunch of usable ATP energy, and what's left over? 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water. I mean, look at that. It's almost a perfect mirror image. The waste products of one process are the exact ingredients for the other. It's an incredible cycle. And that's the whole shebang right there. As this quote puts it, Respiration and photosynthesis are biological reactions in the environment that complement each other. They're not just two random processes happening at the same time. They're two halves of one continuous, planet-sustaining cycle. This chart really lays it all out, nice and clean. Just look at it side by side. The purpose? One is all about storing energy, the other is about releasing it. Location? Photosynthesis happens in chloroplasts, respiration in mitochondria. And the reactants and products? They're perfect opposites. Carbon dioxide and water go in one, glucose and oxygen come out. Then glucose and oxygen go into the other, and carbon dioxide and water come out. It is just an incredibly elegant system. Okay, so this brings up a practical question that I'm sure some of you have heard before. If plants are respiring at night, meaning they're taking in oxygen and breathing out CO2 just like us, is it actually dangerous to sleep with them in your room? Are they going to steal all your oxygen? Let me put your mind at ease. The answer is a big, resounding no. Not at all. The amount of oxygen a typical houseplant uses at night is absolutely trivial. It's so small. Honestly, if you have a dog or a cat, or even just another person sleeping in the room, they are using way more oxygen. Plus, when you look at the whole 24-hour cycle, the oxygen that plant produces during the day far outweighs the tiny bit it consumes at night. So you're definitely coming out ahead. All right, so let's zoom out. We've been talking about what's happening in your houseplant, but let's go bigger. Let's zoom out from our bedrooms and look at the entire planet. Because this partnership, this great exchange, is happening on a truly global scale. This incredible little dance happening inside of cells, this making and using of energy, is actually the engine that drives the Earth's entire carbon cycle. It's what keeps the gases in our atmosphere in this really delicate, life-sustaining balance. And you know, there's even a specific name for that moment of perfect balance in a plant. It's called the compensation point. It's that fleeting moment, usually around dawn and dusk, when the amount of gas being used for respiration is exactly the same as the amount being produced by photosynthesis. For that brief instant, the net exchange of CO2 and O2 is zero. The plant is perfectly neutral. But here's the thing. That delicate natural balance is being disrupted. Human activities, especially burning fossil fuels, are adding a massive excess of carbon to the atmosphere. We're talking about 9 gigatons. That's 9 billion tons of carbon every single year. That's the net amount that the planet's natural cycle just can't keep up with and reabsorb. And that's what's tipping the scales. So, we've just walked through this absolutely elegant partnership that has powered life on our planet for billions of years. It's a beautiful, self-regulating system. But it leaves us with a pretty heavy question, right? Now that we understand just how vital and how delicate this balance is, how do we make sure it stays that way for billions of years to come?